Shut up and sit down.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get real cold up in here right now. Check this out.
Nice day to get on our bicycles, take a ride down to the park, pedaling up and down the hills, birds sing and dogs they bark.
It is a stretch, but so far what you are hearing is the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Have you heard that perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did?
Clouds flow by, and when we come back down, we roll so fast.
Okay, what the
Grass, wondering how many hours have passed.
What the bloody hell was that?
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During. I'm here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
Lance friggin' Hepler, welcome to the show. Here we are, end of the year.
Hey, Lance.
Yes.
Eat a banana nut muffin over there.
Look at
Last podcast of the year.
2023,
Jake,
baby.
Last one's yours. I already
No.
had one. They're good.
Have another one, because I've got more where that came from.
Okay.
Rebecca made some banana nut muffins.
To the friggin' banana nut muffins right,
Freaking yummy.
Mr. Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look brilliant.
Hi, Matt.
You look brilliant here under the lights.
Under the lights, yes.
That's
we are.
as in we're doing this with video.
Yeah,
And
it's being
we
recorded.
have to light these videos,
Yeah.
so
Wait, I gotta look pretty.
People
No.
said they like seeing the little bits and pieces and whatnot.
yes.
So
If you take off your clothes, you'll always work. That will always work for us.
yeah, stay tuned. So cool. All right. Well, it's the end of the year. You guys want to do your final and last backpedal?
Backpedal.
Backpedal the entire year, maybe? No.
Matt, go first.
How long we got?
I have not done too much. I've been swimming a little bit. Went to a couple master swim stuff. I haven't done open water swimming since the weather has been cold. And I have gone out running a couple times. Ran with the wife a couple times. It's like a date. You go for a run with the wife. It counts as a date. Trails.
Fantastic.
All trails all the time. And I've biked indoors a couple times on the Zwifters.
Sweet. Are you swimming at Gold's?
Swimming at Golds.
How do you like it?
It's I mean,
Not the same as it always has been?
yeah, I mean it's okay. It's I mean it's a good pool. It's close location. I like my master's team. I've been swimming with them for many years, and it's good. I'll get like an hour workout in. I've also been helping coach the high school swim team, which is ridiculous because first of all, I didn't grow up swimming. I don't think that I really qualify to be coaching a ton of high school swimmers, but in some regards, I do coach things. And sometimes it's like a matter of having CPR certification and having, coaching certifications and things like that, that I do have all that stuff. And then the people that I work with are like the brand new swimmers.
Mm-hmm.
And so this morning, or this past 3 days, I guess I've been coaching high school swim.
Sweet.
So that's been fun.
Well, they should know by now that you're like the most renowned goggle
Superstar.
reviewer on the interwebs.
Right.
So, I mean, there is that.
I'm-
Do review goggles.
I'm like, let me see those goggles. No, that is not good enough, sir. I did tell some kid, I was like, take your goggles and kind of like pull them up over the back of your head a little bit. They'll be tighter that way. They'll stay put. So there's that.
And they laughed at you and said,
You don't know what you're
Coach
talking
LeGrand,
about.
suck it.
You don't know what you're talking about, Coach LeGrand. No, those kids actually listen to me, which is crazy. Unlike my cross country runners.
Fun.
So,
Right on. That's good to hear.
yep.
Yeah. Epler?
Yeah.
Backpedal.
I finished the festive 500 this
Was
morning.
did it feel festive?
Heyo.
No.
Did not feel festive at all?
No. Every freaking kilometer of it was on the trainer. It felt
Wow.
like such a...
Did you wear like a Santa hat during any of the
No.
festivities?
There was zero festivities going on.
Like you need like a little jingle bell kind of thing going,
all I
dangling,
did-
a jingle bell dangling down.
So I rode 500 kilometers since Christmas Eve.
Okay.
I took Christmas Day off completely, but I
Finished
rode...
early, right? Because you have extra time. There's
What's today? The 28th?
I don't know.
Ninth.
Do you have till New Year's?
29th. You have till New Year's Day.
Because that's Monday, so you got tons
Yeah,
of time.
So there's tons of time.
So-
but I wanted to get it over with. I don't know why. I did a 100-mile trainer ride.
What?
I did a 4-hour 100-mile trainer ride.
That's gross.
Yesterday.
Be gone with that.
I did like 2 hours on my own, and then I did the team like virtual ride for like an hour and a half. So I did like 3.5 hours last night.
Did you use the coffee ride thing when you were like on that 100-miler?
Yep.
Like every 30 minutes?
Twice. No,
only twice?
Only twice. You can only use it like once every
30
is it
minutes?
every 30 minutes?
Yeah.
I use it twice.
Because I would have used it every 30 minutes.
I
Because
used it
you
twice
get
just to-
mileage for it, don't you?
You
Yeah,
do.
you
Yeah,
do,
the
yeah.
mileage keeps accruing.
Okay, your power numbers go flat. But
Yes.
everything else just keeps rolling right
But
along.
everything's keep rolling right
Yeah.
along. So I haven't ridden outside for almost 2 weeks, which kind of blows, actually.
That's crazy.
That I haven't ridden outside since the 17th of December.
The weather hasn't been that bad. There's been quite a few days where it's been decent.
Yes,
You've
it
been doing
has.
family stuff, though, I guess.
But all my family's in town. We've been hanging out. We've been having a great time. We've been playing Quiplash every night.
Playing
What's
what?
Quiplash?
Quiplash. It's a game you play. I think it's with the Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
But you all like log into the game with your own cell phone, and then it says, and then it comes up with some prompt like,
Like whip it good?
no, like
And you have to like whip it?
like you have to answer a question, and then your answer is voted against one other person's answer. So you all put your answers in, instead of King Kong's name, a better name would be blank, and you have to come up with a name.
It's kind of like a spin-off on Cards of Humanity. A little bit.
I don't know, kind of.
And so then everyone votes.
And everybody votes, and whoever gets the most votes win. And you go through like 3 or 4 different
But
rounds.
what if
and it
people
gets-
just vote for themselves?
You can't vote for yourself. You don't.
And you don't know whose thing it is, too, right?
Yes.
So it's like it
You
could
don't
be
know
anybody.
Yeah, you don't know until you make your vote, and then it's really fun. And then
Which is how they score Cards Against Humanity, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
all my kids are adults, so the answers
Well,
just got
no,
more
one
crass
person.
and more crass.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, Donkey Schlong. I guarantee you that was like in there.
It got so bad. Like I mean, I should take the blame for my
your
kids being crass.
I bet your kids are very creative. They probably crushed you.
Oh my gosh, I won a few times.
They do good.
But because I tend to be pretty quick on my feet. But yeah, anyway, we played Quiplash every night because it's freaking hilarious and it was fun. So we did that. But the last outdoor ride I did was with Sir Ian Gibson. We met on a Saturday and rode. Was it Saturday? It was a Sunday. It was a Sunday, and we rode the West Hills together over in Portland. So thank goodness that Ian and I got out. And
Was it traffic-y?
no, there
Not
was
bad.
not all the climbs on the West Hills. There's hardly anybody on them. I mean, we saw like no cars. We got lost a little bit, which added to our mileage, which was good.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I'm at 12,580 miles or something for the year.
I'm at 12. Just 12.
Just 12 miles for the year.
Just 12 miles.
I'm at Trois.
Anyway,
Good times.
Yeah, good times. That's it. I need to get outside. I'm hoping to go outside this afternoon.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Cool.
What's the weather looking like today? Is it going to be okay? Jake, how about you
Jake,
backpedal?
what'd you
gotta
do?
Backpedal, man. Don't put it all on us. You got to backpedal for us.
I threw up a bunch.
yeah.
That's about it. And had Christmas.
Wait, I just ate your wife's
I know.
banana nut
We're all
muffins.
gonna
Am I
get
in
sick.
trouble?
As long as my mother-in-law didn't make it, you're in the clear.
Wait,
Was it food poisoning?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I thought it was like
No.
a bug that went through the house.
No.
It was a nice batch of salmonella chili.
Was it chili?
That's what we think. That's the running theory. So
Did anyone,
there was
else that also had the chili like from somewhere else also?
there was 12 people that were at this little
Gathering.
gathering, if you will, on Christmas Eve, and the 6 people who had the chili all like exploded. So literally,
Man.
it was bad.
Explosive chili.
Yeah, so it set in about it started setting in about 12 to 20 hours later, depending upon who you were. But it hit me. It hit me first.
You had gotten home though.
No,
You were in the car.
No,
In the car ride would be the worst.
That
So-
would be the worst.
they only lived like 5-10 minutes away from us. So we went over to their house on New Year's Eve for like the New Year's Eve dinner. And it's a long-standing family tradition within my family to have chili. It's a homemade chili recipe that my late grandfather used to make. Even when he was a kid, when he was, in his young 20s, he was the cook at the fire station. He was, a fireman, if you will, for a lot of years before a mailman. But anyway, he had this recipe, and he used to always make it for the family on Christmas. And so my mom grew up with that, and then she started making it for like my family when I was growing up. And then I brought it here, and my wife has it like down to a T and a science. And we had it, and then we started going over to my mother-in-law's house on Christmas Eve, and she insisted that she make it. And this year it just didn't go off so well. And we all ended up getting pretty sick. But we were over there on Christmas Eve, came home, we did Christmas morning the next morning, and then got everything, packed up. And then we drove north 2.5 hours to go visit my mom and see my sister. And we got up there at about 4:30 and probably come about, I don't know, like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, I don't feel right. Something's a little off. I thought I was just tired because I didn't sleep well.
This is a full day later.
Correct.
And
And
like
then
20 hours later.
And then went to bed that evening. It was, not terribly late. And I'm like, I don't feel right, but maybe I'll just sleep this off, and got up a couple hours later. And then that's when all of the fireworks went off. And
I'm one good stomach flu away from my goal weight.
yep, that's a great.
What's that from?
It's
Do you remember?
The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I shouldn't know that.
Yeah. So for some people that listen to this probably know my wife. And so some of them probably know that she is a huge, we'll just say not germaphobe, but somebody who's very, very, very anti-throwing up. And she's got a phobia, basically.
Oh, no. Did she get sick?
My wife has not thrown up since she was in first
I knew this.
grade.
Yeah.
She's had 3 children, didn't throw up through any of those. And she sees me getting sick, and she basically runs for the hills. And she'll come around you, but she definitely keeps her distance. And she's like, I'm going to go sleep in a different room kind of thing. And then, so that happened. And then she's in the room with the kids. And then one by one, they started to fall. And it was then the next morning that she started to feel off. And she's got a full regimen of being able to keep herself from throwing up. So she went to the store and she stocked up on all of her stuff. And she had all of the symptoms minus the throw up part of it.
She didn't throw up.
She did not throw up.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's
So-
impressive. She's just like
That is
iron
impressive.
stomach.
It is. I mean, probiotics and activated charcoal and a few other things, and ginger and all these things, and anti-nausea medicine. She's got it all. This is a legit phobia of hers, and it's actually kind of one of those things. If I'm ever feeling off, I will purposely not tell her, just so she does not berate me with that question of, how are you feeling? Are you going to throw up every 3 to 5 minutes? It's
I've thrown up sitting on Jake's wheel before. Maybe I need to talk to your wife.
For you, you look at you wrong.
Just look at
Lance
me wrong. And
yeah.
I'm
So
throwing up.
she was in her own personal hell that whole few days.
Just trying not to throw up.
But we're up there. We're supposed to be spending time with my family, and I was in bed in a hotel room for 2 days, or a full day and a half. It was terrible. And then everybody's I got sick first, and I started to feel better first, just because it's clearing my system. And so we still had to make the drive home, and we're in my wife's car, and we're all kind of squished in there a little bit, and nobody felt good. So it was just a crappy car ride home to boot. So a couple nights of good sleep, though, and everybody's feeling better, and everybody's kind of got their batteries charged back up. And that was my wonderful Christmas.
Wow.
That's brutal.
Yeah. That is. No
But
thanks.
but like you said, it's a great way to kick off the whole let's get this weight trimmed down. Let's get fit and
It is not the way to do it.
yeah. But it's just there's so many things that are just laying around that you can eat all the time. And I was talking to Lance about this before the podcast, and I started to make some mental notes before the holidays, even all right, these are the things that I want to accomplish next year. And if I go ahead and subscribe to them now, I will have this sense of all right, we're going to do this. We're going to get through the holidays, and you're not going to eat the crap, and you're going to start making some progress towards, getting the fitness that you want. You just got to get the stupid hip thing figured out. So I was really good through the entire holidays. And when we got up to my mom's house on Christmas, there's all kinds of stuff out there laying around, and normally I would have probably had something. I'm like, it's freaking Christmas, you can have something, but nothing sounded good, so I'm like, I'm just not going to eat it.
Feel good.
But my sister still did make an apple pie that was fantastic, and I did have that with some ice cream.
Yeah.
So I was feeling kind of guilty about myself, but you know what? I deposited that bad boy right back in the toilet, and all's well, man.
It didn't stay in the system long.
Yeah.
Nothing stays in the system. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
sorry for you, man. That's
I
a rough
gave
way to have the
myself
holidays.
I gave myself one cheat day through the holidays. That was it.
Good.
Right?
Otherwise, I've been
Yeah.
on the plan.
Yeah.
On the
trying to
12 days of Christmas, I gave myself 12 cheat days.
12 cheat
12
days.
cheat days.
Yeah. Other than that, though, I have not been on a bike in some time because I've got more swelling that I can still shake a stick at, and that's just not productive at this juncture. We're
No.
still trying to get to the bottom of what's going on.
All that bike time, saddle time is just spent on the crapper.
Yeah, there you go.
It's kind of the same.
Yeah, it's coming
just
out
time in the saddle.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
It's a different saddle. So
100%. But
So
I
you're
still have not missed any of my workouts. It's if you looked at my calendar and you looked at holy crap, that is extremely symmetrical, and you have not missed a date. So
Wow.
I was still able to make stuff happen. The day that it all started to set in before we drove up there, I got my workout in, and then the 2 days that I was really sick, And
You're
the
like
day that I came
scheduled.
home, I still came home and I still did enough that I would consider enough to qualify as a workout. And then I went to the gym again on my day off to do even more work. So call it bonus extra credit. So I consider that being a win, and I'm still on track and as well.
Nice.
Cool. Anyhow, so
What are we doing next? Next,
Champ
Champ
Bailey.
Bailey. Is he around?
Champ is here. What's up, boys?
Champ is here, and
Champ
he's just going
is
to tell us
here.
how fast Matthew Vanderpool is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, basically, one of the reasons why I spent so much time on the trainer, pardon me, one of the reasons Lance spent so much time
Yes.
on the trainer this last week is because the race coverage from Flow Sports for all these cyclocross races in the curse period was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
There was a 3-hour broadcast every single day.
3-hour tour.
Yes, 3 hours.
And I hate flow sports,
yeah, so
but I'm glad that they're doing good
Sounds
things
like they
because we
might
need
have
them.
turned over a leaf, at least in the cyclocross realm of things, in terms of like their coverage and their announcing.
every race has been great. So not only multiple static cameras, but also drones following not just one big drone shot, but the coverage has been great.
Have they picked up any new announcers? Maybe some announcers that don't have announcing jobs with other.
Jeremy Powers
okay.
announced
Ooh,
today's race.
that's a good snag.
Yeah,
if
so
that's a
he
normal
announced
thing for him.
today's race. Today was Exact Cross in Lowenfeld or something like that. Anyway, the racing has been awesome. There's been a couple races where the big three all showed up. Matthew Van Der Poel, Wout Van Aert, Tom Pidcock. They all made it onto the podium together, I think twice. But Van Der Poel is just
on another planet.
dude, he is just like playing games. It's like he'll sit in for a lap or two. Like today's race, today was super muddy, really rainy, kind of ugly, and he sat with another leader for like 2 laps, and then he just decided, okay, here's where I'm going, and literally within like 2 corners, gave himself like a 10-second lead. And he's been winning almost all the races he's won by over a minute.
So he's playing like Grand Theft Auto. He's playing Frogger, and I heard he's playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out now too.
We'll get to that.
Oh,
Yes. So yeah, he's had all that. So if Van Der Poel isn't there and Wout Van Aert is there, Wout has won the races. There was nope. If out of those 3, if Van Der Poel's there, he wins. If Wout is there, he gets second. If Van Der Poel's not
right.
there, Wout wins. So it's been like that every time. I will say Ellie Easterbeat has made a couple podiums with these guys, and
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's
it's
huge to
pretty
have
huge.
anyone besides the 3.
yes.
Podium.
So he's mixed it up with both. He's mixed it up with Pidcock and he's mixed it up with Wout. But they
but
both
Van Der Poel is different.
Van Der
level.
Poel's different.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how much better he is than everybody else. He has just been
Suspicious.
dude, he's 28. He's in the prime of his
He
athletic
is.
life. He has spent
Still
this great
suspicious.
session training in Spain where he gets left alone. It's a little warmer down there.
No, there's no one checking drugs while he's down there. He gets left alone. He's
Something like
perfectly.
that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Van Der Poel's killing it. Yeah, so that's been the big thing. There's still another race tomorrow, another race. There's still a few more races to go. And I've been watching the women's race and then turning right back around and watching the men's race. That's why I've been sitting on the trainer, because I'm not just going to sit there and watch 2 hours of races.
Has Claire Hunsinger been racing?
She has not made it over there yet.
Okay, is she going? Do
She
we know?
is going. She's
Which
hoping to make it to the World Championships, which aren't till like February 2nd or 5th. It's not for another month. And she just doesn't have the budget to be there through the whole curse
She doesn't
period.
have her team that she had before.
No, she doesn't
So-
have a team with deep pockets like
Right,
she had
right, right,
before.
right.
So she is planning to go over and doing 5 or 6 races, but not till next week or something like
Okay.
that. So at
Well,
least
we
that's
will
what I've
wish
heard.
her good luck.
We wish her good luck. Yeah. There have been several local juniors that made it onto the European Cross Academy and have gone over and raced. Some local guys. Jack Johansson? No. Zach Strait, I think, has gone. And Finn Westover from Seattle.
Oh, wow.
They've both been over doing the junior races. So that's been kind
That's
of fun.
got to be good experience.
Okay, but one of the big incidents that happened this last week was at, I can't remember which race it was.
I don't remember either.
Doesn't matter.
The one that Matthew Vanderpool won.
When Van Der Poel won. Matthew Vanderpool was lapping a lapped rider who happened to be our very own Felipe Nystrom, who lives here in the Portland area and races all the Ober races. He does all the Ober races, road races, mountain bike races, cyclocross, gravel. He races everything for Ober. And he is a Costa Rican national athlete. And so
he got his moment of fame.
So he got his moment of fame, and he inadvertently got in the way of Vanderpool, and Vanderpool basically gave him an arm bar and shoved him out of the way as he was coming around him.
Which, it was a very memeable moment. It was a very like shorts type, video that could be shared easily.
Yes.
Which I assume is great.
I even made a little clip and sent it to you guys,
which is awesome.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I look at that and I'm like, this kind of stuff happens a lot, and these guys know exactly how to handle it, and it's exactly what Vanderpool did, which is like throw your left arm into the guy and kind of like lean in, balance the bike, and they're going like through thick mud too at the same time. Their bike handling skills is
I was just going to make
unworldly,
exactly.
right?
So think about anybody else. Like any roadie guy that's never ridden off road. Can you think he does that without flying over the bars himself? No. I mean, Vanderpool did not deviate at all. He just like straight up like boom, and Philippe got pushed out pretty solidly, and he got pushed back, and he had to do that. He had to. Vanderpool was about ready to take a back wheel to the face because he was running with his bike on his shoulder after taking a selfie with some fans. But the fact that he didn't deviate and hardly didn't even seem like he like missed a beat in the whole process. He just like bam, and just kept flying.
Like it was almost like just another obstacle on the course that he knows how to handle flawlessly. Right?
Initially, it looked like Vanderpool is being a jerk.
It did.
What is he doing? That's what it looked like.
If you just see the short clips, yes.
But that's not really what happened.
Yeah.
This was lap 3 of 7. It was a 7-lap race. It was on lap 3.
You're already getting lapped at lap 3.
Felipe was already getting lapped.
This was
in
the world. So
this was a World Cup
there.
race. Felipe is 40. Okay,
right.
He's not 28 like Vanderpool. He is very fast for our local scene, but for the World Cup cyclocross scene, he's not. But because he is a Costa Rican national athlete and their national champion, he's able to get into these World Cup races. Fantastic, super. Mm-hmm. The World Cup has rules where they have an 80% rule where if they think you're going to be lapped by the leaders, they pull you from the course.
Yeah.
Well, Felipe knew he was about to get lapped. He knew he was on his last lap, number 3.
It looked like he was having a mechanical.
No, he was running. It was a
bike.
difficult section that Vanderpool was able to ride, but Felipe couldn't. So he'd been running, and he stopped to take a selfie with a fan. A fan asked him to take a picture.
That's not a good reason to get in the way of the world champion.
Here's the thing. So all the screaming, all this noise. He comes over. He takes a selfie with the fan, and he was just turning back around to get back to start running again, and didn't know that Vanderpool was there. And boom, Vanderpool was right on him. Now Felipe got pushed, didn't fall over, but fine. And he clearly felt horrible.
Yeah. The second he saw who that was that pushed him, he immediately knew like. It was in that moment I knew that I effed up. Kind of one of those things. So he owned it pretty well. I mean, I think I'm gonna say that he might have overreacted a little bit with his like how bad he felt, because he's basically said that he's gonna be done. He was gonna do one more race and he was just gonna quit, and because he felt so terrible.
Really?
Yeah. He had enough budget. Felipe had enough budget to stay in Europe through the World Championships and compete for Costa Rica at the World Championships, which isn't until February 5th. So it's another month away. So he had enough budget that he was going to do that. But after this happened, he said, I don't belong here. I know I don't belong here. I know it's kind of a gift for them to let me race because I really can't compete at this level. But he goes, and I got in the way. And if I had really affected the outcome of the race, I would have felt terrible. And because of that, I'm leaving. I'm going to do one last race in Holst, which is tomorrow, I believe.
To support another teammate, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And to help, he has another Costa Rican teammate who is younger and a bit faster than him that he's hoping to launch in his place. And so he was, he said, I'll do this one last race and leave. I'll just end my program.
What did MVP say about it, the whole thing?
MVP said, look, he just made a mistake. He should not end his cross program. MVP was really cool about it
Right.
too.
To me, like that just looks to me that I see that situation. I'm like, that's cyclocross. Like it's just crazy stuff happens. People get in the way. That's just.
I mean, you can kind of make a point or a case about like, should you be stopping to take selfies with fans in the middle of the race?
That's not a good look.
In certain respects, maybe because it's good for the sport and makes the fans happy and whatnot. But you have to be hyper aware of your surroundings. And should he never do it again in the future? I'm not going to say no, but be more aware and just be ever present of your surroundings and know that like if I'm going to stop and take a thing or look back over your shoulder before you do that, look back over your shoulder again before you step back out there. Because had it been the case where he had looked both times, it would have actually been
fine.
to MVP's like benefit because he could have like stood up against the barrier with his bike tucked in and
Get
given
out of
him
the
a
way.
full line and not have to pass him at all,
Yeah.
making it even easier for him to pass. So if you had done it just a little bit differently, the outcome could have been wildly different.
But
So
the crowd noise,
Yeah.
all the
hear it,
screaming,
yeah.
In the moment-
you can't hear anything.
Exactly.
And you think that you're not going to get caught that quickly.
yeah.
And so you don't think he's going to be there. I mean, it's freaking lap 3. It's like halfway
Yeah.
through lap 3 and he's getting past. So, of course.
Do you think he gets chastised by the UCI at all for taking pictures with fans during the middle of the race? And do you
don't
think
know.
that there are any rules that might come down by like saying, hey, you're not allowed to do that? I mean,
No, that's why they have the 80% rule.
Yeah.
To avoid conflicts between lapped riders. That's why the rule is there. He just hadn't got to a point where they would pull him. If you get to a pit, they pull you. If you get to the start,
the earliest
start, finish,
opportunity, do they get to pull you off?
yes,
That's okay.
they pull you.
So
the earliest opportunity.
what I think is interesting about this is to a casual viewer of someone that's like maybe not super familiar with cyclocross, they see this clip and they're like, that guy with the rainbow jersey is a jerk.
Right.
Like he just hit that cyclist.
And he shook his head immediately, like, obviously he'd be angry in the moment, like, get the F out of
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So he did look like
a
what
jerk.
the hell,
Which I mean, I just, I think all of us look at that and are just like, yeah, he handled that perfectly.
yeah.
Like
right.
you're angry that someone's in the way of you on their course.
I would have
and you
shook my head too. I probably would have even said something like,
curse,
Get out
you
of
curse
the
on
way.
your breath
Yeah.
or whatever it
Yeah.
is, but then you quickly get over it because you're winning some sort of.
Case in point, in last night's race, the race for so Vanderpool won last night's race. It was under the lights in, I can't remember where.
You got to know these towns.
Deegam. It was in Deegam. I have it. So they have a night race in Deegam.
Yeah.
Vanderpool won going away. Tom Pidcock and Ellie Easterbit are battling for second and third. And Easterbit gets out ahead of him, ahead of Pidcock. And Pidcock, there's one final corner before some stairs and then the finishing sprint. And Pidcock just dove bombed the corner, elbowed and shouldered Ellie Easterbit out of the way and ran up the stairs first to take second place. And as soon as Easterbit got to the top of the stairs, he just shook his head like, what the hell just happened? Because he just got shouldered out of the way.
It's legal.
It's
that
legal.
That's racing.
It's
sorry.
racing.
That's
It's
I'm sorry, but that's
racing.
racing.
Question for you, more contact in cyclocross or in crit racing? Like,
Oh, there's way more in crit racing.
you think so?
Crit racing is
Yes.
and it's faster and scarier and
And more consequential. Your crashes in crit racing are
Do you think they're pushing
Injury.
as hard?
yeah, dude. You ever watch those videos of Legion?
Sure. But I mean, it's a lot more leaning. Are they? I mean, and you'll see some
It's
head
heads.
stuff.
You can't. So the UCI has rules about
How much,
heads.
yeah.
Like you can't
Right.
like headbutt
like-
somebody out of the way.
because
But you
Cavendish
can.
that was the Cavendish situation
Yes.
from many years
Right.
past where
You can't
would
use your
headbutt
head,
people.
but you can use your shoulder and your elbow to kind of
make space.
make to protect your space. Yeah. But I don't know. I think there's way more stuff in crit racing. That's freaking scary because you're going
twice,
30
twice as fast,
you're going
basically. You're
35
basically
miles an
it's
hour.
twice as fast.
Sure.
or triple.
Or triple. Yikes.
And you don't have this muddy, soft landing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You're hitting a curb in the
Bouncing,
fencing.
skidding, sliding. Yep.
Anyway, my thought is that, Felipe just made a mistake.
Sure.
He didn't do anything wrong other than he just made a mistake.
It was a human moment.
It was a
And-
human moment. He didn't look over his shoulder before he stepped back onto the course.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be in a spot that had the best line right where Vanderpool was going to be. So it was just a bad mistake. I hope he stays and he stays through the work. He's extremely popular with the fans. Felipe is very popular with the fans because he smiles. and he laughs and he stops and he takes pictures
Interacts, yep.
and he interacts with the crowd. He's not just full gas racing because he's fighting to not be last in these races, right? So
I think if I were him and I saw like MVP and MVP is like, yeah, he should stay and finish, I'd be like, all right, I'll do what this guy says. That's the way I would look at it. Like, okay, he was not offended. Okay.
yeah, right.
Keep doing
If
it.
he's not offended and he's okay, and Felipe just wanted the chance to like look him in the eye and apologize to what happened. I don't know if that happened. I think they were both at Deagham last night.
I'm sure there will be an opportunity, and I'm sure that if I had to guess, MVP somehow connected with him or let him know some way,
hope
shape,
so.
or form.
He's probably just like, don't worry about it.
Not for nothing though. That's pretty freaking cool to get shoved like that by the
No kidding.
the most prolific cyclocross racer of all time. Pretty much almost knocked you on your butt. You know what I mean? But I mean, if it was some other, Lars Van der Haar or something like that, like, okay, great, that happened, then you forget about it the next day like it never happened. But that's like holy crap, this is a tale you'll tell your grandkids.
There was a clip of Felipe like 3 days earlier. They're warming up for a race, and he's on a paved section on the finishing straight right behind Wout van Aert. So Wout is just coming through the finishing straight, and Felipe is right behind him. And he looks up and he realizes that it's Wout, and he doesn't know the camera's on it, but he points at Wout and like shakes his head like, check that out, I'm right here with Wout. It was like this fan moment.
Dude,
it was just
we
really
would all
cool.
soil ourselves if we were in that moment. So I mean, the fact that he gets to be there, you gotta lean into that. You gotta embrace that, and you gotta do everything that you can to stay there. And that's why I say, don't leave. Make your apologies, learn your lesson. But if you get an opportunity to be there, don't leave. Yeah. You have to stay, and you have to like absorb as much of that as you possibly can.
So we'll see. We'll see. He should be at the race tomorrow at Hulst, and it's a World Cup race. It's either tomorrow or Sunday. I really don't know. Yeah. Well, let's hope Felipe sticks around.
Cool.
Nice.
Champ out.
Champ Bailey out.
That's what she said. Excuse me? That's what she said.
Champ is out, huh?
Champ's out. There was a bunch of women racing too. Puck Peters has been winning when Fem Van Empel has not been winning. So it's basically been either Fem Van Empel or Puck Peters. So they've been crushing the women's field too. So anyway,
cool.
I want to make sure I mention that. Let's move on.
Right on. We're supposed to do the Patreon thing, and we'll get into that in just a second. Is there anything else that we were supposed to talk about? Let's save the Patreon.
Topic?
Well, let's do
We'll
the
do our topic
topic now.
first,
We're going to finish with the Patreon. So if you're a Patreon, I guess you got to stick around a little bit longer, and you got to listen just a little bit more, because we're going to give away a few things, and we'll pull that out of the hat in just a moment here. The topic, you guys, it's the end of the year. We are done with 2023. Just a few days left, and a lot of cool stuff happened this year. And we came up with our own little top 10 list.
Top 10 list. Yes. Top 10 2023 moments
In
if you will.
cycling.
In cycling.
Bring it.
All of cycling.
Cycling related stuff.
Cycling related.
Anything cycling related. And you guys can chime in too if you have a different thing that you feel like should be on this list that we didn't come up with. Definitely comment in the comment section below the podcast. Right on the website. I think you can comment right on there as well. The dialedpodcast.com. If you go to that, that'll link you into the website where you can listen to the podcast and you can comment on the podcast and things like that. I'd love to see what people have to say for their top moments.
Number
they might be
one,
better than ours. So
Lance Hepler sandbagged all year and won the men's Cat 250-59 age group.
it's huge.
That's it.
That's number one.
huge. That's number one.
Number one.
Sandbagger Hepler.
That's Lance's number one. Jake's number one is Mark Cavendish crashes out of the tour.
Best moment of the year. Loved it. That was like music
No.
to my ears hearing that.
Okay, yeah. Cavendish did crash out. He was trying to win that.
I thought we were done with them once and for all.
And now he's come. He has confirmed
coming
he's
back.
coming back.
He signed another year extension, and
It's all good.
And Astana actually brought in some help for him
Will
as well.
Philippe be at the tour this year?
Felipe.
Maybe I can hire him to take some pictures with some fans before a
let's
sprint.
take some selfies in the sprint field.
Cavendish will come through with a helmet, leaning the helmet in. We don't want that. We don't see anyone get hurt.
What's number 10 on your list there, Matt?
That's number 10. We're working these backwards.
Cavendish?
This is number 1 for you, but we're working backwards from the actual
I see
list.
how it is.
Top 10.
Thought that was the
we're
number
starting
one. Damn
at
it.
number 10. Number 9. Allison Jackson wins Paris-Roubaix, dances across the finish line.
We are
No, wait,
video
dance.
recording this, and Lance is going to do a reenactment of her dance right
ready?
now.
Okay, ready?
And it looks
She
just
crosses
a
the
little-
finish line and
She
she
had
wins.
an interesting dance. Yeah, she got off the bike.
doing like a little hip rotation kind of thing, and
Yeah.
like shaking the. Yeah,
That's pretty good. That was pretty
How was
identical.
my TikTok dance?
100% perfect.
Allison
Nailed it.
Jackson. Allison Jackson is a woman racer for EF Education. She's a pretty good racer, but she
what
made
team
it.
is she on now?
She's.
Or is that
EF Education.
is that a different EF team? Were there two EF?
That's a great question.
The EF team that Claire was on, I think, was
Is it different?
no,
it was the
the
same team.
as her. And
So I don't know where she is now.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, Allison Jackson is Canadian. She's actually quite a famous TikToker because she dances. She dances. She
has
does all
fun.
these. She's hilarious, and she makes these videos, and she dances, and she has a big following in TikTok. She actually manages to win Paris-Roubaix in a sprint, and she immediately crossed the line and started dancing. Great moment.
that's fantastic.
It was really cool.
Number seven. Eagle Transmission comes to mountain bikes.
Wait a second.
Was that this?
10 was Cavendish. 9
Cavendish.
was that Heather Chen?
Number 8.
Number eight.
Okay, sorry.
This is a professional
scientific,
professional
yeah.
podcast you got here.
Number 8 is what?
Eagle Transmission.
That's pretty high on the scene. However, I still don't own one, which
You should
freaking sucks.
get on that.
It'll happen very soon. As a matter of fact, it's going to happen on multiple bikes, which is kind of cool.
Oh,
but
really? Okay.
Lance has a ton of experience on it. Do you think that's worthy of being number 8 on the list there?
I absolutely love the Eagle Transmission. It changed the way I race. I love having it. It has been a kind of a game changer for me. So
How would you say it changed the way you race?
I don't have to think. When I'm in race mode and I'm racing, I can just shift to whatever gear I want. I don't have to.
Think about when you're putting down too much torque.
Yes,
or
I don't
what-
have to
yeah.
unweight. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
If I'm climbing some hill and I'm not quite in the right gear, and so when I
let
shift, you let up just a little bit.
Yeah,
so
so,
that,
you get that big old clunk
yes.
kind of thing. Yeah.
And with the Eagle Transmission, you hit the button and it will shift when it's the right time to shift, and you don't have to back off at all. Even in a sprint, you can downshift and it will just click into the next gear without some big clunk. So I love that, and the fact that there's no stinking
Hanger.
derailleur hanger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bane of our existence. Sometimes it was a necessary evil that's no longer necessary.
Durability is real. And I think that when we talk about all of these new components and new products and things like that, like we almost don't think of durability. And companies are always like, oh no, it's really durable. But then you're like, yeah, you have to be able to like crash this thing on trails, and it needs to be able to hold up. A lot of these things don't.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty stinking solid. Yeah.
Pretty solid.
number 7,
7. Yeah.
Keegan Swenson wins Lifetime Series.
That's pretty solid.
Gravel series,
he
that
won
was
that
huge.
pretty handily, and he won almost every race he was in. I think the last one he didn't.
There was 2 races he didn't win. He took second at one race and he took third in another because he didn't need
Have to, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
he had won all the other races. He won Unbound. He won Tusher. He won
Those are the big ones.
Leadville.
Right?
I want to put like that.
And he set a record.
little asterisk next to
Yeah.
that, like as like this is even more special because he was the first person to go under 6 hours at Leadville. And for those that don't know, the Leadville is a 100-mile mountain bike race with 12,000 feet of climbing.
12 or
Starts-
13,000
starts
feet.
at 10,000 foot of elevation.
Climbs
Starts.
over 13,000 feet of elevation and back down. But the whole race is over 10,000 feet of elevation.
Yikes.
And
Nobody had ever cracked 6 hours before. And last year he was so close. He was
missed
just
it by like 4 seconds or something.
yeah, he was like just seconds over 6 hours, and everyone's like, no, but it was still a pretty cool accomplishment. And he came back this year, and what was his time, Lance?
I think it was 5:43.
So not only did he beat it, he crushed it, and that's going to be a time that, unless you get some like retired pro that's just like,
Or he just hits it again. Like he just comes back in better shape. Who knows?
So this year he not only wanted to win this year, but he really wanted to crush this 6 hours at Leadville. And so he had one of his teammates
the lead out train.
do a little lead out train for him. So his teammate Tobin Ortenblad, who was on the Santa Cruz hit squad with him, he kind of sacrificed, quote unquote, his race for the first 30 miles and he drilled it for the first 30 miles so that they would be on pace to the bottom of like the first big climb. I don't exactly know the course that well.
Sure.
But he really paced Keegan so that he could launch him to really take off. And he won by 20 minutes or something like that.
How much did he win for winning the Lifetime Series? Because he and his girlfriend won.
They both won. It was a $250,000 purse for the top 10 or top 12 or something like that. So split amongst the top 12.
They made money.
I want to say it was like 25 grand each.
Okay.
It's not a ton of money, but that's still a nice little paycheck, knowing that he's probably getting some pretty decent money and sponsorships and
big
endorsements.
dollars are probably sponsorships, I would think. Yeah.
My guess, he's probably making $400,000 or $500K a year.
Yeah.
Between
To ride bikes,
sponsorship
yeah.
It's
money.
not that good for being the best cyclist
He's the best cyclist in the U.S.
in the U.S.
Yeah, other than maybe Sepkus.
Another notable finish
right.
was the World Championships. Was he 7th or 5th or something like that? He was pretty
in
high
the-
up there. He was in top 10.
He was in the top 10 for the Gravel World Championships without a good start and without a team around him, really.
Yeah.
He did pretty well. Keegan, he made enough money that like he moved to a nicer house in Heber like over the summer.
Good for him.
And but he's back in Tucson, I think, for the winter.
Good.
So yeah, Keegan crushed it. But he's like head and shoulders above all the other gravel racers. It's been pretty awesome.
I had somebody tell me that he's only good because he races better than everybody at altitude, that he's not all that fantastic of a fill in the blank bike handler cyclist when you bring him down to elevation. Would you agree with that? That's what I said too.
Elevation does not affect him the same as
Correct.
it does most people. So he doesn't lose as big of a percentage of his power at elevation as most people do.
Yeah.
And that's just a physiological thing. That's just in
that
his
in
genes.
training too. I mean, like where you live and when you do altitude camps and all that stuff plays into part of.
He lives in Heber, which is near Park City. It's at 5,000 feet of
Which
elevation.
is where that's an ideal location.
Yep. And then
Because you go too high and you can't go fast, and if you go
Yep.
too low, you don't get the benefits of being 5,000 is a really good spot.
Yeah.
Number six.
Sounds good to me.
On this crisp list, it's a very well researched list. New cycling computers. Back to sports tech. New cycling computers from Garmin. They released the Garmin
540?
540 and the
840.
840. They had the 1040 from the
1040 was already
previous
out.
year, but that was not 2023. That was
We saw
2022.
the solar trickle down to both models as well, and they updated their user interface. The
Yep.
ergonomics of it changed. It's a snappier computer.
Yep.
What do you think of them, Matt?
I have a problem with the 540. I just don't feel like the 840 doesn't have any buttons on it. Actually, they brought the buttons back. They used to not have any buttons at all. It was just touchscreen. Now on the 840, you have buttons and touch screens, which is an ideal situation. So if it's rainy, whatever, you use buttons, everything's going to work just fine. However, when it's nice out, you use the touchscreen, works great. The 540 doesn't have the touchscreen, and my beef with it is normally I'm like, that's the one, go for that. That's the ideal situation. Buttons are great. You don't need touchscreen. But in this situation, they've reorganized the operating system a little bit. And it really is organized in a touchscreen friendly manner. You basically have like this bottom menu button, pulls up all this stuff, and then you can kind of select things. And it's really just kind of
a lot
like
more
using the
pleasant.
buttons just doesn't feel. I will say that when you do have a computer for a long enough time, you get that muscle memory with the buttons. Boom, boom, boom,
Right,
boom, boom.
right.
You know how to get to the sensors and add sensors pretty quickly. But really, it just feels like that computer is designed around the touch screen itself. So anyway, my vote is that 840 is a very good cycling computer. People should seriously consider it if they're thinking about buying a bike computer. But it's also good to see that Garmin finally updated those. It was 3 years, I think.
It was 3. Yeah, it was 3. My God,
Maybe more?
I think it was 4 years.
I really think that they should get on a 2-year cycle of updating that product. That's
sounds
what I would
about right,
recommend.
too. The clear winner of because basically it was 4 computers. You've got the 540 solar and non-solar, and the same thing with the 840, solar and non-solar. The 840 non-solar was the clear winner in terms of sales, and I think in terms of just gross popularity, that was
And it's the right one, I think.
that was the darling of the whole bunch.
Yeah,
So-
because we tested all of them.
Yep.
And that was the one to get, I think, because the solar doesn't help you that much, and it was an extra $100, I think. So it was prohibitively expensive, or was it? It's either $50 or $100 more, and I think it's $100.
it was about $100 more. Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah, you're
if
not
it was
getting
$50 more, people might be like, all right.
The only ROI on that, in my opinion, was the computers, once they start to get a little long in the tooth, when they start the batteries just don't have the same like ability to hold their charge quite as long. I feel like that solar, if you have access to sun, might help prolong that just a little bit. Like you're not going to get like a ton more. It's not like, oh, it's just like on this infinite loop where it's just creating energy constantly. But if you go to the point where the battery's worn out and maybe you get like 5 hours out of it and you go out for a ride, maybe it goes from 5 hours to 6 and you get that extra hour. Not that you're necessarily going to be out there that long, but I think it might just help prolong the life of the computer itself for just a touch longer.
I think the solar really shines on like 10 plus, 12 plus hour days in the saddle, or multiple days.
That's what
where
I was going to say.
Where you
Touring,
don't charge.
we're doing these touring things and things like that, and that bike computer is just sitting out there in the sun all day, and you're going like, we're biking all day, and then guess what we're doing tomorrow? We're biking all day.
Right.
Those things just, you probably still have to charge them a little bit, but like that's when I think some of the solar makes more sense. In the 1040 also has like a solar option, and that's one of the ones where it's like, well, if you're touring, that map having that larger screen size, you really kind of want that stuff.
I never really thought about this, but I'm sure plenty of the pros are using the Garmin head units.
Yeah,
I wonder which one they gravitate to. Which one is the darling of the pro peloton?
Keegan used the 840 solar. That's what he uses for racing and everything, except for there's a few races where he uses like a 140 or something, like the lightest, smallest.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder
thing.
if a lot of these guys are looking for the lightest, smallest thing that they can get because.
Is there a weight difference between the solar and the non-solar?
Oh, I don't remember.
I don't think so. I think
it might be a gram or two difference, but
I think most of the Garmin athletes race with the 840 solar.
Gotcha.
I think most of them do.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Cool.
And I think a lot of the Wahoo athletes use the Bolt because it's just lighter and smaller.
Yeah.
And they can use whatever they want to. So, yeah.
Good call.
Okay. Number 5. And this is our list, not your list, but Claire Honsinger wins the 4th national championship.
I think she should have been item number 4, but that's just my sin. 4 and 4.
Do you want me to change it right now?
It's your list, Matt. You built it, but
actually, then we're going to mix this up. Vingegaard wins second tour. We'll put that as number 5.
Number 5, Vingegaard wins the second
number
tour.
Number 5, Vingegaard wins the second tour.
Back to back in a pretty dominant fashion, might I add.
He did well.
It was crushing that time trial near the end, which just sealed it up.
It just to me looks like you watch this stuff and everyone's like, who's the better rider? Who's the better? And it just looked like he was the better rider.
Clear favorite, yeah. Can we talk about Tour 2024 for just a moment?
No, this is strict rules. 2023 only. No, let's hear it.
Does he three-peat it? I don't know if we have to pay Phil Jackson for using that because I think he did trademark that. But does he three-peat?
I think he's got a good chance.
He lost Roglic.
So no Roglic.
Yes. Wout's not going to be there.
Wout does not have the tour on his race plan next year.
He's not going.
He's got Sepp Kuss. He's got
Sepp
Of course, he's got Sepp Kuss. I mean, that's, not GC, but Lieutenant Extraordinaire right there. Does he have? He doesn't have the same team. I mean, they got Matteo Jorgensen coming in.
He doesn't have the same team, but they're still loaded. They're
still
with
super car, but Roglic is he's out for blood. He wants to he wants to throw his name in that. We know he can win a Grand Tour, and we know that this
team. I
team.
don't think that Roglic is going to have the same team behind him.
I don't think he will either.
Yeah,
but he's still Roglic.
Yeah,
he's still Roglic. He's going to be in the
Giro.
Well, I'm not saying he's not going to be in the mix. I'm just saying he's not going to win, and he may crash out because he always crashes out.
Not for nothing. He's going to know all of their tactics, and he knows all of the riders. He knows exactly what they're capable of, and he's going to help his team prepare for what they're going to be up against.
Every team knows the tactics. Like these tactics, there's no longer any secrets amongst this group of people. They all know, like, we know how to top off and hit the exact number of calories that we're supposed to hit so that no one bonks anymore. It's just like racing now is different. And then there's
Team Sky cracked the code.
Yeah. And then there's this situation where it's like sometimes every once in a while someone slips and they don't get the correct number of calories. Either too much or too little or whatever it is. Like they make a mistake somewhere. And that's when cycling is kind of interesting.
Yep.
Because otherwise it's like, yeah, we run these numbers and do this and do this and you have 3 guys on and now we're 2 guys and the last guy goes and he goes at the top of the wind and then he wins. It's like 5K to go. We're going to go. It's such a formula that it's less exciting. However, so I personally don't think Roglic knows any like top secret things that everyone else doesn't know.
He's intimately familiar with all of the minor little details, and if you're a student of the game, you can sometimes play those to your advantage. You know when like, hey, Jonas usually doesn't feel good around these couple days, and we would typically we would protect him or we would do this, that, and the other, and he'd have to do this, that. And you just start to learn all these little tiny nuances that you're not going to pick up and other things. It's like we all know each other really well, but you don't know everything about me. But if like we lived in the same house, you would know even more, and you're going to know how to play that against you a little bit. I'm not saying that it's going to be a massive difference, but that like little 1% of what you know might be something.
Might be.
So
You're gonna put Roglic in the
It's
in the top
much-
top
it's-
spot.
I'm going to put him on the podium.
It's much more interesting. The tour will be much more interesting.
It'll be so much
this
better.
year
Yeah.
It'll be so much better.
because of Vingegaard against Roglic, against Pogačar, against possibly Remco.
Well,
Yeah.
I saw a title the other day about the quote unquote big four at the tour this year. I'm like, please tell me that they didn't put Remco
Remco
in
is
there.
the
And
big
sure
four?
enough, there was his name. I'm like, son of a. He's going to call himself Big Four
He's
now.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they don't call himself Big Four.
Well-
He's interesting in that he can definitely explode and have bad races. He's one of those ones where it's like, here's this mistake. He had this huge issue.
Vuelta, he blew it.
He blew up.
He just cracked one day, and that was it.
He cracked one day, but
And then he won, like, 2
then he
stages.
Was weird that he came back that fast. Like that should not happen. That's abnormal. But whatever. Like he should probably be mentioned. Maybe not top 4, but like I feel like he should be mentioned. He's a good cyclist.
Yep.
Is there
hard to argue
any
against
way you
that.
find him being on the podium?
I don't think that when you get into the Tour de France, which is the pinnacle, like everyone says when you're riding that it's just like it's a couple miles an hour faster than any race that you ever do. I just don't think that he's going to go 3 weeks at that level.
And if there's
3
anybody that
weeks is
doesn't
long
have a
time.
team to support a GC rider, I'd kind of say it's Quick Step.
Yep.
I mean, they've
Yep.
got a great team. Don't get me wrong, and I have no idea how they've reloaded for this year or what they've changed about their team to potentially support the likes of a Roglic, not Roglic, but Remco Evenepoel. We'll see.
It'll be fun to watch. It's going to be so much better to watch.
Who's your podium?
Ask me in a couple weeks when we actually do our Tour de France prediction stuff.
Don't get a sneak preview.
I mean, I think that, yeah, I mean,
Vingegaard,
Vingegaard,
Roglic,
Pogačar. It's like, I mean, those are just,
Those three.
those are so obvious. But I think I might leave, I don't know.
I'm curious.
I think I
to
might
see-
leave Roglic off my
think
list
so?
of 3. I got to put someone else interesting in there. Something more entertaining.
Enrique Mas,
Egan Bernal.
Egan Bernal.
I hope he has a good, I would love to see him have a good race.
Yeah.
Just any sort of
It's a
good
kid.
race.
It's a good kid.
Yep.
Cool. What's
Okay,
Number
we're-
4.
We're number 4, which happens to be Claire Hansinger wins 4th national championship.
cyclocross world champion or not national
National
champion? Wish she was world champion. That'd be pretty stinking sweet. Claire Hansinger, 4 in a row.
That's awesome.
Can she keep going? Will she win again in the years to come? How
don't see why
old will
not.
she be to break Kristen
Oh
Armstrong's?
no, that's not going to happen.
She won. It wasn't
It's-
Kristen Armstrong.
Katie
It was
Compton.
Katie Compton.
Yeah, Kristen-
Katie
I'm sorry,
effing Compton.
Yeah,
sorry.
My
Yeah.
namesake.
It's got to put the F in there.
Well, she legally changed her name, I think, to be that.
Katie effing Compton.
Yeah.
Yeah, she won like 12 in a row or something like that. So
I thought it was more like 15 or 16.
maybe it was something like
It was
that.
a ton. I don't see that happening,
I don't
but
see
it
that
looks like she
happening
can
either.
go. She can win a couple more.
Yeah, so good for her. She
Huge
won 4 in a row.
congratulations.
Yeah, super exciting. She's our local Portland
Yes.
racer.
This is our list.
Yeah, so that's why. We love
Number 3, Vingegaard wins the. Wait, did we already do Vingegaard wins second tour? All right. Number 3, Jumbo Visma, who are no longer Jumbo Visma, win
Lisa
all 3 Grand Tours.
All 3 Grand Tours.
All 3 Grand
and
Tours. That's
sweep the podium at the Vuelta.
has that ever happened before?
No,
It's never happened, right?
actually, I don't know.
No. Well, there's no way that they've won that a team's won 3 Grand Tours and swept the podium.
Swept the podium.
But this is just this was the year of like
I don't think that there was a year in cycling
think of
history
anything
where
like
there
that.
was a more dominant team. And therefore, by de facto, they have to be the greatest team of all time.
I think you're right.
I mean, it's hard to refute.
It's hard to refute that.
Oh, and by the way, Katie Compton won 15. But anyway, that's-
15. Wow.
It shows you the cycling industry where we're at right now, that a team like Jumbo Visma loses their title sponsor after
That's
a year where they have dominated.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's weird.
yeah, Visma Lisa Bike.
Visma Lisa bike. That's gonna
Visma
take
Lisa
some
bike.
time. It's gonna take some time to get used to that. And the whole team exploded, sort of.
Well, they lost Roglic,
They lost Roglic.
and that's really it.
That's it. But then there was that talk about like Rimka is going to be on the team. They're all going to be on there.
They were combine the teams.
That was a weird.
It was all.
I'm so glad that
moment.
merger did not happen.
Yeah.
That would have been bad for cycling, in my
Would have been
opinion.
bad for cycling. I agree. Moving on. Number 2 on our list. We're getting to the heavy hitters here. MVP wins second world championship.
No, he wins two
No,
world championships.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he won 2 world championships in the same year.
He won the cyclocross world
Yes.
championship. He crushed the field,
Yeah.
which he's not racing this year because I've done that crap a million times.
Yep.
And then he wins the road world championship where he attacked with like 20K to go and just dropped everybody. That was the race.
You think that's one of the best races of the year?
It was one of the best races of the year. There's this one climb. It was in Scotland, right? I think it was in Scotland.
Okay, I don't know.
There was this one climb. It's like a steady pitch that's like 9/10 of a mile long, and they did like 8 laps of this circuit, and like on the 7th lap, he launched up that thing over 1,000 watts for the whole stinking mile. And then nobody could go with him. Yeah. Nobody could go with him. So he gets off the front and he, flies around the circuit. He's so far ahead that he crashes, breaks his shoe, and still doesn't get caught. And he wins by like 40 seconds or something. Matthew Vanderpool.
That was impressive. That was super impressive. And that was fun to watch.
That was in Scotland.
It was in Scotland.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
So amazing that he won 2 world championships in the same year. Plus he won Paris-Roubaix. Plus he won Milan-San Remo. Did you watch that Milan-San Remo race? So that race is like 200 miles long. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It all comes down to the Poggio, which is this final climb with like 6 miles to go after the top of this Poggio. And it's not very long and not very steep, but it's at like mile 194. And so they get to the Poggio, and then
I feel
there's
like
a
it always
descent.
comes down to that.
Milan-San Remo always comes down to the Poggio. That's the year that remember a couple years ago, Mohoric won because he got over the top in the lead group, put his dropper seat down, and descended that Poggio descent fast, got far enough away that they couldn't catch him. Well, Vanderpool didn't need a dropper. He just attacked with literally 200 meters to go before the top of the climb. And he crested that climb with like a 3-second gap, and goodbye. Yeah. He was gone. That was it. So
that's impressive.
Vanderpool.
Who's the best one-day classic rider currently? Would you put him in there? Would you put Wout in there? Would you put Pogačar in there?
Pogačar is what I was going to say. Would that be a wild one to throw in because he is legit?
Won Strade Bianche. And
he won everything until he hurt his wrist. So
he had that crash.
Yep, broke his wrist and didn't. He did get to race for a while, and there was question marks about him at the Tour, and I think for the most part he did put those to rest, but that probably still did carry some weight with him in the Tour, so that kind of had a little bit of effect on him, maybe in terms of like his training.
I think so.
Whatnot,
I think so. I think it definitely had some effect.
We've got some pretty wicked, crazy good one-day classic racers right now.
We do.
He won.
Fun to watch.
Pogačar won Tour of Flanders, which is probably the best classic monument. That is just an amazing race. He won Tour of Flanders. He won Giro di Lombardia, which is also, and he won Amstel Gold Race, La Flèche Wallonne, Strade Bianche. Not Strade Bianche. He won those 3 races this year, those one-day races this year.
Do you think he'll do as much classics riding this next year?
I do.
I think he will too. He just likes to race.
He's just
going
likes
to race.
The Giro too, right? I think he's targeting the Giro if I'm not mistaken. So. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He's not focusing on the Tour?
No.
He's won that crap a million times.
Oh, that's funny. Number 1 pick. The top moment.
Drum roll.
In cycling in 2023. Sepp Kuss wins a world tour.
Sepp Kuss.
I
freaking
loved that. And that was such a fun thing. It was fantastic. He was so deserving of that. And it was just there was some drama mixed in.
There was some drama. It was a weird win. And if we're being honest, there could be an asterisk next to his win. But let's not be honest with ourselves, people. Let's just enjoy the victory. That was super cool to see an American win a Grand Tour.
Sure. I loved it. I no comment other than that was fantastic and good on him.
It was amazing to watch. I mean, he was let go. He won the Vuelta because he was let go in that break because he wasn't a threat. That will
Yes.
never happen again.
No.
So he got in a break that they kind of let him stay in it because he was going to be a lieutenant for the other for Vingegaard or Roglic.
He was not
And
considered a GC
He was not
threat.
considered GC threat, and it was big enough that he was able to
It was
hold on
something
to
like
his
2
lead.
minutes or something, wasn't
No,
it?
it was like 12 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And they chipped back at it and chipped back at it and chipped. He kept losing sections, sections
12
of
minutes is a
time.
lot of time.
And then they thought that he would lose it all in the time
Yeah.
trial. He rode the time trial of his life
He
and
did
won the
have a good
Vuelta.
time trial. That was good.
Yeah.
The only sad part about that is if you walk down the street and ask 10 people, who's Sepp Kuss?
Oh, they'd
I
be
don't know,
like,
some
bless you.
Foreigner or something. Exactly. Some foreigner.
God
I don't
bless
know.
you,
He
sir.
just probably wouldn't even know he was an American. So there is that. I mean, and you're going to go out and ask
saw
all
him-
10 of those same people if they know who Lance Armstrong is, and of course they know him. So
I saw him do some big televised events, and he was interviewed by some like major media kind of platforms, CBS and places like that, like going on Good Morning America or whatever the programs
Yeah.
are, Today Show, things like that. They called him in because he was in Europe still or whatever it was, and they phoned him in and they talked about it. It's something that's still not enough to be, a common name or common thought amongst Americans. He would really have to win the Tour de France multiple times for us to for people to really be talking about him. So, but you got to put that dent in there somewhere. So
He did extend his contract for 3 more years with Visma Lisa Bike.
I hope he's happy there. I hope
so
he's enjoying it.
There was talk of him going to a different team because his contract
could
was going to
leave.
be up next year, but no, he just extended his contract.
Is there any chance that he's going to win the Tour de France next year, 2024?
No.
0 chance.
No.
1% chance. 1.5% chance.
If Vingegaard crashes out,
Yes.
he has
I
a
was just going to
chance.
say that's
That's
the
what I was
only
gonna say.
reason that would happen. And maybe he's due for a little whoopsie. Who knows?
I mean, the Tour de France, anything can happen. Anyone can slip up. I feel like we've seen that quite a few times where someone is like a favorite and they crash. And what do you do as a team?
Right.
You scramble and you try to do the best you can with what you got.
Right.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is our top 10 list for 2023.
We didn't talk about this, but is there anything that you would put in the category of like worst moment of 2023? Worst crash, worst tech, worst fill in the blank, whatever it might be? Do you guys have anything? I know I'm putting you on the spot right here.
I've blocked those all out.
I have a hard time with watching any of the crashes and stuff like that. I don't enjoy that at all.
The death of road racing in the U.S.
Ugh.
That's a thing.
That's a thing.
It's been a slow death though. Did it officially die in 23?
No,
I mean,
it's not officially
That's
dead.
what the tombstone says.
I don't know. Like
Oregon still has the Baker City Cycling Classic, one of the only stage road
They still
races
have a
in the
race.
country.
They still have
We
a road
have
race.
a road race.
That's where we're at now.
I'd say the worst thing that I could say happened this year would probably be our teammate Chris Rat's crash. That was probably the scariest and the worst outcome and the most broken bones. I mean, that was bad.
That was bad.
And I'm super glad that he, didn't get hurt worse. And I'm even more happy that he was able to bounce back relatively quick. And, it was that same race that's where like my house kind of came crumbling on me, but I'm like, that's nothing. Srat got destroyed. I'm over here crying about like my hip and my leg and like, I'll get better. And here we are, like fast forward, 7 months later, I'm still crying about it every day. I'm still off the bike. I'm still broken and he's out there crushing everything.
Surratt's basically fixed, and you're still dealing with this hip crash.
That's how it goes sometimes with these things. Super frustrating. But
Yeah.
He's not totally fixed either. He's still
I know he's
with
dealing with
stuff.
some issues in his back, but for all intents and purposes, he's well on his way to being
Yep.
the Chris Surratt of old and probably going to come out of this even stronger.
We did a snowy, wet, muddy gravel descent, which is like my jam.
Yeah.
And he stuck on my wheel the whole way.
Yeah, he was proud of that too. By the way,
Did he say something?
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, good on you, man.
I kept turning around. I'm like, holy crap, Surratt's still with me. What is going on? Anyway,
What
Yikes.
about the drama that Team Legion got into? Would you kind of put that in the category of like worst moments, worst
that was
look?
a bad moment.
I mean, they kind of, I don't know,
They got in a fight post race. Was it Boise or was it Salt Lake City?
something like that. They lost sponsorships. They got
Yep.
suspensions, and a lot of bad
Yep.
things happened out of that.
lot of
And-
bad things
And
happened.
I just, I don't know. They're such solid racers, and they've done so much for the community. But in the same time, the same breath, it's like you squandered so much of this stuff. I mean, you could have done things so much differently. And I don't know them intimately, obviously, and I don't know the situations, but man, don't don't screw up stuff like that.
Interesting. Yeah. I know that younger brother has moved on to a different team.
That's a head scratcher right there too.
Yep. So he's not with Legion anymore. Next year he's going to the Miami Blazers, which is there's 4 like crit teams that they've developed under the umbrella of Legion. So it's still kind of under the umbrella of Legion, but it's a separate team.
Sure.
And he's going there.
Any big turds of the year, Matt, for tech? Anything
For
that you
sports tech stuff? Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think everyone realizes like there's some basics that you have to have. You have to have like cycling radar support. You got to have like ANT Plus. You got to have Bluetooth. You got to kind of have all these pieces of Python. I'm a little disappointed that the Hammerhead Karoo 3 hasn't come out yet. Like that just kind of befuddles me. Like they put this thing on major discount pretty early in the year, and it's been
I
kind
thought
of
for
discounted.
sure, like, okay, this is it. This is how they're purging inventory. It's going to
clear-
be here for
yep.
the holidays.
You clear the inventory, and then you're ready to go for like a fall launch, and then you're ready to go for all the holiday shopping stuff. Or you get ready for like the summer riding season. A lot of time with the cycling computers, they launch in the spring, and then they're ready to go for the summer season of purchases for people. Nothing from Karoo to. I mean, they were purchased by SRAM, so there's some question marks there. Like, what are they going to do? They got to integrate something.
Yeah,
they got to do something interesting.
I think that they have a pretty solid computer that has a lot of pluses to it. There are some definite downsides to it, but when you use it and once you start getting acclimated to the user interface and how it works, you're like, this is actually a
device.
really nice computer.
It's a great
as long as you
device.
don't like to ride for more than 4 or 5 hours,
Yep.
it's fantastic. And if you don't mind the little bit heavier weight of it, it's fantastic.
Yep.
And the daily updates that you get from them.
Yeah, you're looking at like the development cycle on that was, I think, one of the most impressive things. That worries me a little bit that they are going to basically change ownership pieces and that part of it, like the fast development cycle, might change and not be quite the same as it was. We'll see. Who knows? We'll see.
We'll see. I know that we're going to be expecting some new tech coming out next year, so I'm kind of excited to see some new things. I can't say specifically what they are, but there's some cool things coming up.
Bike trainer wise, that's another kind of spot where it's like everything's been a little bit slow, right? With bike trainers, there's been changes. There's Wahoo has their kicker, whatever its number is. I'd say kicker 6,
that's
but
what it is.
it basically rocks back and forth now.
the
Looks
move,
cool.
yeah.
It's a kicker move, yeah. And there's been the Tax Neo 3 is another. That's like Garmin's Garmin owns Tax, and that's like one of their top of the line trainers. It's really one of the top of the line trainers in the entire industry. Very nice trainer. I haven't reviewed it, but looks good.
It's very similar to the Move.
It feels very to me it feels like that industry currently, as it stands, has reached a leveling off point where things have plateaued a bit. So if you have one, you're good.
yeah,
And if you need one, then you've got some really good options.
Next iterations will probably be no more cassette on there. I think that's probably what you're going to see in the future iterations. Like I think that they're going to go along the lines of the Zwift unit.
Zwift Hub. Zwift did this thing where they did the Zwift Hub where it was just a single cog basically, and so
It's
you
like
can
a chain retention device almost to hold it. It wasn't even necessarily a cog, right?
it looks like a single cog,
Well, actually, I guess it does have to be a cog because it does have to be able to turn it. But yeah, anyway.
but
carry on.
it'll fit. I mean, I put 6 speed, 7 speed, 8 speed,
Anything
9
on
speed,
it.
10 speed, 11 speed, 12 speed, all goes on the.
And it's all internal shifting, or it's all
digital.
Digital
like
shifting.
you press a button and it feels like it sort of feels like you shifted because it just increases the.
That's the way the kicker
effort.
bike. That's the way the kicker bike
exactly.
works.
It's the way the kicker bikes work. So
And did you happen to catch the video that DC Remaker did with the owner of Wahoo?
I did.
You watched that?
I did,
So
yeah.
that was kind of interesting to hear him talk about some of the tech and how much
Yes, I watched it
goes
too.
into that and the cost of that and like the the physics and the science behind it. I mean, there's quite a bit more going on in there than I had originally kind of thought in my head. You just think, oh, you got magnets and you got this. It's a lot more than that to get
And they're
that.
not ditching the watch, and they're not upgrading the Wahoos just yet.
no. Let's call a spade a spade. I mean, the CEO of Wahoo was wearing an Apple Watch Ultra.
Yep, that was the first thing I looked at
on the video.
That's right.
They're not. He said that we're not making a Rival 2. We're not making a Rival 3. He didn't say that we're ditching it. He said we're going to continue to support it.
But we're not. Okay.
They're done with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I love videos like that. It's like
Me too.
peek behind the curtain.
I thought it was really
Talk to
good.
the
He was a
CEO.
pretty cool guy too, and it was kind of
He
neat
seemed great. Yeah.
to see how he interacted with him. He's not a pompous guy, and to hear about where he got the name Wahoo from was kind of interesting as well. And
the
that
boat
was
dock thing.
Yeah.
yeah. So just call it Wahoo. Just keep the name the same. So, and the fact that he's got something up his sleeve that they've been developing for 10 years now that's coming out.
I know,
that
I'm very excited about that.
Ray got to see, and like he's excited about it too. So, what could it be now? And I know that there's some other things in the hopper over there. I don't know if there's one in the same or whatnot, but I know.
He also, and then he pulled off this brilliant business move, buying back his debt.
Yeah, pennies on the dollar.
Pennies on the dollar. Just freaking brilliant what he did there. So
he seemed very cool about it too. He was, Ray was like, so you kind of sold high, bought low, because he had sold off the company or whatever and came back
to the VCs. And
so it seems like a genius move. And I think he was just like, well, we still had to borrow a lot of money to do this deal. And, he was like, I just didn't want to see my company that I've worked on for 12 years go under. And, it's just like, he seemed very mellow about the whole thing. And he was like, and, the way that we have things set up now, we're not in massive debt. We don't have any debt. And he's like, and I sleep really well at night. And you could just tell that he feels so much better.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool. I mean, he easily could have walked away with plenty of money in his back pocket. And the fact that he cared about it that much, that tells me a lot about that company, and it tells me a lot about what they have on the horizon. That's an invested owner that
reminds me of you, really, when you're just like, I don't have a ton. I'm not taking a lot of debt on this. Like dialed cycling is awesome. We don't have a ton of debt. Like you just sleep better.
Yeah,
you're not worried about like, oh, I'm gonna have to lay off half the. I'm not making payroll next week. Right. You just have that confidence.
Yeah, and they were on the ropes. The company was on the ropes.
They were in a bad spot.
Yeah,
and he fixed it.
Yeah.
He fixed it.
In a record amount of time, I feel like, too. And then he like turned a big scuttlebutt with this whole Zwift thing into like a solid partnership.
Fix that too.
If
you think about it, like he should be getting more credit than maybe that he has gotten credit for. And he doesn't seem to seek out credit either from the discussion that he had with Ray.
Humble. Yeah.
Very humble, very cool. But if you think about it, he's done some good things in a very short amount of time.
Sure. Yeah.
Because a year ago, I mean, it was not that long ago. Nope. They were in trouble. So.
Last question for you guys before we kick this thing into the next thing. Is there anything that you guys really want to see happen in 2024 in this whole industry? It could be anything. It could be tech related.
Well, we already talked about the Karoo 3. I would love to see that.
You'd love to see that. Okay. Is there anything else just cycling related that you would love to see?
I'd like the Wahoo computers to be like major overhaul. Okay. That's what I want to see.
No, that was some weird static that just popped up there.
I also, we've talked about this before, like the ability to have a camera on the back of your bike is super cool. I just think it would be neat if that was relayed some sort of, and it doesn't have to be super high res, but just relayed up to the computer.
That would be fantastic.
We've talked about that a lot.
Yeah, there's no reason why they can't make that happen. So
yeah.
You know what I want to see? I want to see some market correction in the cycling industry.
Yeah, the market is a mess.
The cost of everything is out of control. I feel like the cycling industry far outpaced inflation. I really do. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff out there that's just so problematic. And I'm hoping that the industry as a whole will start to kind of back off a little bit. I kind of feel like there was a lot of like, oh, they're doing it, we're going to do it too. They were gouging. Sure. I really do feel like there was a lot of gouging that was going on there, and that's just, it's not good for
long term.
Yep,
I agree.
Bikes are they're stupid expensive right now. They are just way too expensive, and I'm not going to name brands and I'm not going to call people out. I'm not going to say anything, but I mean, bikes like your top end bikes. I mean, who wants to spend $15,000 to $20,000 on a high end bike that used to cost
it went from 10 to 15 like
it's just overnight. Yeah,
it just was so scary. Like it used to be like 10 to 12 was like the most you could spend on
I remember the first time I saw a bike over $10,000 or at $10,000, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, you used to be able to get a freaking sweet like Ultegra Force Group set with some electronic stuff built in there for $4,000, maybe $5,000, and then all of a sudden it was $6,000, then $7,000, then $8,000, and now that's the $10,000 bike, and then your Dura-Ace and your red stuff is going to be your $15,000 bike. And I'm like,
I mean, inflation makes sense. It just doesn't make you can't outpace inflation and expect there not to be like some repercussions to the industry long term.
There are bikes, and again, not going to call people out, but they've increased in price by 50% over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Did inflation go up by 50% over the last 4 years? No, it did not.
50%.
And if you think about it, there is a lot of cool stuff, research and development.
Sure.
There's a lot of cool tech that goes into stuff, but we're talking about a carbon fiber frame with components strapped to it, and it's a relatively simplistic device. You shouldn't be able to put that.
Have gotten more complicated.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to put that next to a motorcycle that costs half the price.
Yeah.
And for a brand new
Yeah.
off-road dirt bike that you can go 80 miles an hour and you can jump 30 feet in the air and do crazy stuff on, that's half the price. Now I know that industry's difficult in its own right. There's not huge margins there, and it's kind of a tough market for bike motorcycle places to sell those kinds of things, and they make their money in the service side of things and accessories. But still, at the end of the day, we're talking about something that's got a lot more tech and a lot more materials built into it. You have to think that there's some sort of something's off. I mean, there's disparity here somewhere.
It seems like we could be in the middle of a market correction.
Yeah,
I really do feel like cycling, like the sales in cycling is in a weird spot right now
Yeah.
because we had COVID where everyone wanted bikes, and now we have this correction going on. It's in a weird spot right now.
Again, not going to call it certain bike manufacturers but there are some that are holding their prices the same for next year. Some have increased their prices for next year, but there are some that have backed off on their prices for next year. And that was a breath of fresh air for me
Kudos to them,
personally.
man.
And I'm like, I saw that stuff in the preseason. I'm like, oh, okay, that same bike just got decreased in price by 10, 12, 15%. And I'm like, there we go. That's the right direction. This is how we do it. And we all need to come together and understand that this is not sustainable. I think Papa Pal's not, cranking out the money machine for everybody. And you got free money to spend on bikes now. And the industry is going to change. And people, I think, kind of need to speak up about this kind of stuff. Some people, like $15,000 is like dropping a quarter on the ground. That's fine. Those people are still gonna be out there. But for the mass majority of people, they don't want to spend that much money on a nice bike.
No.
I don't know. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the industry does 2024.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, there's craziness out there. There's bike deals to be had all over the place, but there's excessive inventories, there's overpricing, and then there's people just fire selling things. So there's like a bunch of madness, and I just really hope that the industry as a whole can kind of like consolidate, come down, make things a little bit more like in line with where they should be.
Kona Bikes was doing a bike sale where if you bought this certain model of mountain bike, you got one free.
Oh, seriously?
You couldn't buy one for half price. They're trying to get rid of
bikes.
inventory.
Yeah.
If you buy one of these bikes, we'll give you a second one.
When
There's
you're in
two
I just
bikes.
want the bike. I don't want two of the bikes.
Yeah. When you're in the industry and you get a peek behind the curtains, you start to see all of the stuff going on, and like it's almost comical sometimes. It's like, come on, you guys, let's just do this the right way. Let's
Yeah. Like settle down.
yeah. So anyway,
Interesting.
should we move on now?
Yeah.
What's next?
Let's do our Patreon drawing.
All right.
The Patrons are, let's just cap off the year and just say thank you to all of them for starters.
Yes.
We really appreciate them. You guys really do help make this little dog and pony show continue on. We do have costs. We don't really make money, which is great. The only thing we make is by the support of you guys, which just goes right back into the show. But I love doing this. And again, if it was just my mom listening who doesn't listen, I would still make it. So I would do it.
listen.
I would do it for nobody. But we've got a Patreon that we're going to draw out of the little bucket here, and they will win.
Chris Hitchcock.
Chris Hitchcock is going to win. I didn't even come up with the prize yet. You pulled it out there too fast.
Do we have water bottles? Do we have?
Yes. I've got some water bottles at the shop.
Those are super nice. That's what you want.
We had Wahoo give us a bunch of water bottles. So we'll give them a set of Wahoo water bottles that we can give them at the
Wow.
shop. So they're actually really nice, the Pierce water bottles too. So
Nice. Those are good.
There's a few other, and we'll do one more. And we're going to let this person draw something out of the old.
Chris Hitchcock listens to the podcast sitting in his hot tub. I hope your hot tub feels nice, Chris Hitchcock.
I love how you know.
and then he texts me while he's sitting in the hot tub.
Multiple Chris's have won today.
Oh.
Multiple with
Chris Surratt.
Chris Surratt, huh?
friend of the podcast.
Wait, we just
spoke
talked about him.
earlier.
There you go. So he gets to pull a goodie out of the box of goodies, and I actually did just refresh that with some
Hopefully
new stuff.
he
So
makes his way up this way sometime soon.
Yeah, at
'cause
some
you
point
can swing by
soon,
the.
so.
Yep.
anyway, if anybody's interested in supporting the podcast in 2024, you can jump on and become a Patreon yourself by going to dialpodcast.com. You can see all of our episodes there, which is kind of cool. And there's all the different platforms that you can listen to the podcast on. And there's also a little Patreon link there that you can click on. Go through, set up a Patreon that works best for you, and we'll throw your name in the hat and cash and prizes.
See what you win.
Cool. Awesome. But again, thank you for supporting us this year and years past and going forward. We appreciate y'all. I think that is it for the show. So let's jump into one last thing. Matt LeGrand.
So I haven't posted a video in a little while, but
Did you miss a week?
No, I mean, well, so if I get a video out by like Sunday,
Okay,
then
you're good then.
But here's the thing, and I'll talk about this in the video that I'm going to make. I'm going to make like a kind of a quantity versus quality video and just ask people what they want for 2024. And I'm just going to kind of go over the year that I had. So kind of a bit of a year in review, see what people are wanting going forward. And
more videos of Matt in a Speedo.
yes, and that's
Goggle
very popular.
videos.
Those
Yep.
are huge. But I made 56 videos
That's
for the year.
fantastic.
For the year. It's not bad. So
Wow.
more than one per week.
That's
So
55 more than I made.
So I'm quite
We
happy.
filmed more than that, though. We didn't.
You filmed 50 videos. You got a couple out.
We got one. We got one.
Got one out.
But
But
actually, no, we did put out the video for the podcast a
Okay,
couple
we
weeks
got
ago.
2 out.
And there might have been another one in there. That was like 2, maybe 3 this year.
so the question that I'm posing is, should I do less? Should I do 12 videos
Absolutely not.
but make the quality higher?
What I would love to see from you is maybe a few, or like the weekly video. Maybe you don't have to put so much production into.
Yeah.
I would love to see maybe more of those, but I want to see the Matt LeGrand. And I always give you a hard time about this. I want your
more fun, more
Yes.
the more
Yeah,
jovial.
yeah, it's hard to
Who's
do
your
that.
assistant? Is Martha or something like
Oh,
that?
Martha. She
needs to come back.
She's a slave driver. She's
Yeah,
tough.
Chester needs to make an appearance. I want to see some more of that.
I need somebody to
love those.
interact with, somebody to bounce
know.
off.
Yes.
That's the problem is like we sit around the podcast. It's easy to joke around.
Sure.
'Cause we're
Then
making
you're-
fun of each other.
But when you're staring at a camera, I'm just like, it's very.
see.
I don't have a lot to work with here.
So-
So what do you guys are? You're not giving me anything here.
There's
You give me
no-
nothing.
So give me that,
Yeah.
but in the same breath, I want you to create some time, and I'd love to see a couple short documentaries from you. Those would make
Yes.
me. They're probably going to be one of those things where it's a passion of love that's not going to give you a bazillion like reviews.
Exactly.
But that's the thing where I think that you would absolutely shine, and I would
So-
love nothing more than to see those.
So in this video that hopefully goes live before the week is over, that's exactly what I talk about. Like some of the videos. So I made 55 videos or whatever, 56 videos if I get one out. The things that I look back on the year, the things that I enjoyed were like, hey, I went and I interviewed Evan Price and we did a day in the life of the triathlon.
Yeah.
And we made like a docu-style whatever.
Yeah.
And we did went to DC Rainmaker
Yep.
spot and just like that stuff was really
awesome.
fun. And we went on these trips and we did these things.
Or the
And
Apple event.
the Apple event was just when we actually one of the things that I mentioned in the video is like we went to the Apple event, but my favorite part was like sitting around and playing like Guess That GPS Watch with these like 4 guys, right? Like just sitting around goofing off. Like to me, that was really enjoyable. And I want to do more of that. I mean, I don't know if I really will do more of it. I'll probably do about the same as I did this year, but like a couple of those. And I love the docu-style stuff. That might take a lot of effort, or it depends on kind of like how it ends up being. But that's hard because then it's like, well, do I work on this for 4 weeks and have that come out? Or can I have some lesser videos that I sneak out once a week that aren't quite as hard to put together? And so, it depends on like what's going on in the world and how in depth I want to go on some of the videos.
So when you put out your weekly video, you put a lot of craft in those, and there's a lot of like video production that goes into it. Does that truly still eat up a crap ton of your
Yes.
time, or is that something that you can maybe back off on just a touch, just
It's
to
hard.
allocate a little bit more time to put that maybe into these docuseries kinds of things? And I
Maybe.
know that's hard because it's fun, and you have a brand that you're trying to uphold, and you don't want to put out something less than like
I'm at the point where like I have a process and it does take a long time, and I like can't. It's not like I can't put something out that's. I mean, I can put things out that have mistakes and quality issues, but I can't put something out there without like having enough time and depth to it or whatever and have the pieces. So there are certain times, like the last video that I did, I talked about the Apple Watch being pulled off of apple.com, and that was a crazy story. And that was like news broke that morning. I sent a message to Apple asking for the story and had the video done and dusted by like, I don't know, 2:00 that day.
Wow.
Right. And
Yeah.
so like the whole thing was like, whatever, like written up, done, like edited, all that stuff from like 10 to 2, like whatever. So the problem, and that works great, especially when it's like, we know what the story is. This is the story. Just get the information to the people or whatever. And then let's pretty it up with some B-roll. And I use B-roll that I already had kind of done. I didn't have to like do anything new really.
I think I even made it into that video.
Yeah.
In B-roll.
In the B-roll.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, sometimes I can do a video really quickly, and I'd love to do more of those. It just has to be the right content.
Yeah.
Like that content has to kind of like hit.
You know, I guess part of the problem too is you're doing reviews and you need intimate time with these, and
Yes.
that in itself takes a lot of time.
So,
and then
like-
you got to do your research, and then you got to put together all the B-roll. It's just
Yeah, so I'm wearing the Garmin Forerunner 265 right now on my left wrist. It'll take me a month of getting data and collecting stuff, and then I'll write it all up, and it'll be a longer video, and then I'll edit it, and I'll make it. I'll add fancy B-roll to it. The whole thing will take forever.
Yeah.
Even the DC Rainmaker thing, which well, there was a huge trip or whatever it was, but like also like we'd spent half a day like filming or whatever, all that stuff, and then I edited on the plane for like 13 hours.
Sure. Yeah. That's a great way to pass the time, by the way.
It's a great way to pass time. But I would say a lot of my videos take even longer than that, but that was nice because it was just like, once I have like a plan and it's all set and ready to go, like I can execute on that.
Sure.
It's a matter of kind of getting all the ducks in a row and knowing what I'm going to do. Yeah. And when I know what I'm going to do, you can do it. It's just, and so back to your point of like, can you just half-ass them a little bit more or whatever? Like maybe the key is maybe just like knowing what I'm going to do and having that stuff figured out, because then I can move through stuff a little bit faster.
And you're getting pretty intimately familiar with like what products are going to pop off.
Right.
And again, not trying to poke fun, but maybe like not doing the like standard swim goggle kind of thing, and maybe put that time towards something a little bit differently.
Well,
but you're probably giving them both equal attention, but they're probably not going to get the same kind of viewership.
No, you won't. Like if my choices are, hey Matt, you can review the Apple Watch Ultra 3, or you can review this brand new sparkly pair of goggles. Like, sorry, but like,
could you like integrate the goggles into that review and say, like, I'm going to go do the swimming, I'm going to wear these goggles, by the way, these are what I'm wearing, and then just like a quick little quip on them that way?
I think the problem with that is when people are coming to see a video about the Apple Watch Ultra, they really don't care what goggles you're wearing. They really want to know information about that watch or whatever it is. And so people are they're not finding me. Well, some people are. Some people are like, Matt, I'm going to watch all your stuff. That's awesome. Those are like my people. I love you. But like a lot of people are like, I Googled for this thing that I want to learn about, and I don't want to learn about anything else.
Yeah.
So I want to try and stay true to those people and help them out with what they want to learn about.
What about trying to integrate the goggle stuff more into like a short?
Yeah, no, shorts are something that I have not really done a good job of exploring, and I could
might be a good way to
that.
expose more people to your channel too.
And also, there's just so many products that you don't want to just neglect an entire industry. Like you just feel like, oh, there's no one that's covering goggles. There's nowhere to go look for. I mean, there are, but there's not a lot, and so it's just like, where do these people go to find information? Like, I kind of feel like you should help them out by providing some details about these things. So I haven't done a lot of goggle reviews lately, mostly because I've stuck to one pair of goggles for like 3 years. Okay. So that's what I've kind of been up to.
Chester goggle shorts.
Chester goggle shorts. That is the key to
Chester is
YouTube
going to have his
gold.
own little thing doing goggle reviews on
all
shorts. Yes.
It could be a different channel.
And you can even like play up on the shorts too. You can be swimming with your cut off like George.
Cut off
George in the
jeans.
pool.
George
comes out, puts his cowboy hat on, he's got his goggles on.
Them are some nice goggles. You could go. There's
Dude,
something in there.
it's coming together. I'm telling you. It's
all coming
together. Let Lance and can Lance and I produce one of your?
Please.
Yes.
Dude, that would be
Absolutely.
so much fun.
Yes.
Just to see how it plays. So
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
those
are fun.
That was a good one last thing.
Sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Friggin' Hepler.
Matt took my one last thing. I'll just roll with it.
Was it jorts?
It was I'm going to be your Martha.
Oh, you're gonna be my Martha. Martha.
I really don't have anything. So
Nothing?
yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Merry
to
New Year.
Merry
New Year.
Merry New Christmas.
Merry New Year.
My one last thing. Keep me in your thoughts again tomorrow, 11:30 in the morning. I'm going to be getting another 22 injections into my body. Another round of prolotherapy. Yay.
Let's make some progress.
Yeah, that'll be fun. You guys ever had 22 injections in one day? I don't think so. All right. Again, Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks for listening this year. Thank you to our Patreons. Thank you to you guys for taking the time to come in and do this. We will be back next year with another one of these. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you then. Bye for now.
Who is he?
He's an asshole, sir.
I know that. What's his name?
That is his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow? Yo! I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Jij bent een klootzak.